Surprise University.
A service of Babylon Theater
presents
Education Warmed Over.
Postmodern Education for the Modern World.
Real SU classes.
Repackaged and produced just for you
to watch anytime.
On this station. Ooh. Tonight's program is...
Hello, class. As always, I am Dennis Manichi, and this is lecture number 5 of Learnation 101, the first prerequisite for the bachelor degree in Babylon Theater, and quite likely for any future degree track as well. Here at Surprise University, located a stone's throw from the Oklahoma border in southwest Kansas. And about halfway through this class, we'll be halfway through the quarter. Well, it must be Monday because you all look like you're still asleep. We finally got a second camera in here for this class, and now you look like you're the living dead. Today, and in each of the remaining lectures for this class, we'll be taking a look at one of the guiding principles for doing Babylon Theater, as set down by Greg and Nolan in no particular order and at no particular time. Nolan and Greg, when they were living in the house in Salt Lake City, which they called Fort Stinkin' Desert, or simply the old fort, used to keep a sheet of paper on the wall of the kitchen, which has become known as the list. On this sheet of paper, they would write any phrase or few words that someone said spontaneously during conversation, and which was remarkable enough to cause laughter or other reaction great enough that it was considered worthy of being preserved for future use or repetition. The list was open for use by anyone who was in the house, or could also be used to record something that one of them thought of while going about their daily business. Some of the phrases preserved there eventually were considered important enough, due to having become standard in their conversational repertoire, to become one of the guiding principles. At least one of them became the name of a play. And that one was, I Don't Want the Rice to Knock Me Down. But just before I introduce today's words to live by, I want to say something about the genesis of this class, as well as the other one, which is running concurrently this quarter, namely Babel 101, and for that matter, all the classes that will be offered in the Babylon Theater Department, which of course is a division of the theater department. What I want to say about this is the question of authorship, not only of the lectures that you are hearing in this class and in the Babel class, but in fact, of all the material that is being presented on their internet channel, Modern Babylonian Comics, and everything that they have written or otherwise created for their shows over the years. Whatever it is always credited simply to Babylon Theater. It doesn't matter whether they collaborated on a piece, or only one of them actually wrote it, or one wrote most of it and the other only contributed a small portion. And when it comes to the matter of copyright, they claim it using both their names. This could almost be considered a guiding principle in itself. And I want you all to think about that in the coming week, or for as long as you can hold it in thought, because it is a very important aspect of doing Babylon theater. And it is something that each of you will need to integrate into your own attitude towards creative work. If you are intending to really live a Babylon lifestyle, and I'm sure you understand that I'm not saying everything you write or otherwise create needs to be credited to Babylon Theater. They've got plenty of their own material and they don't need yours. I'm saying that your creative self needs to be integrated into your whole self. Or perhaps it should be your whole self. All aspects of your personality need to be integrated into your creative self. So think about that and see what you come up with. Now, that digression is something I was thinking about on my way to work today. So I guess you can consider it a freebie for this lecture. But in a way, it fits right in with the subject for today and may even be a corollary, to take a term from mathematics theory, because today's guiding principle, which is perhaps the most often invoked by the B-boys themselves, goes like this, quote, "We are the broadcasters, so just listen to what we have to say. Because when we say you, we mean you," unquote. Some consider it to be actually one principle, with the second most cited one, "when we say you, we mean you," added. But Greg and Nolan have made it clear, when asked, that they are two separate commandments, if you will. So, without much further ado about nothing, let's get to work on this thing, this commandment, this guiding principle, these words to live by. In the first place, it doesn't really sound like words to live by, does it? Well, why should it? It isn't something that you're going to be throwing around like you would throw a kick or a punch if you were trained in some martial art and wanted to put the fear of golly into someone who was giving you a bad time. But it is like that, if you kind of give it a little comparative thought. Now, I happen to know, because I saw the TV show when it came out back in about 1975, that this line was used by one of them, I think it was Nolan, when they were imitating Chick Utley and Babel Snur in their half-hour video play they recorded at the University of Utah, and which was shown on the cable TV in Salt Lake City. That was a kind of a spoof about DOA news. Anyway, those words were a challenge, a statement that summed up what every news anchor person has always wanted to say when the camera comes back from a commercial. You look right into that camera and you say, in a tone of voice that brooks no argument by the viewer at home. Right now, we are thinking about that first sentence. If you're going to look a person in the eyes, say a person who is the type who will dismiss your highly experimental painting as being just nonsense and rubbish. If you're going to look them right in the eyes, whether they are standing in front of you or you are just trying it out in your imagination, you can say inside your head, as you are facing that challenger, to your creative power and tell them, I am the artist. So just look at what I have to say. Or, I am the doctor. So just listen to what I'm telling you. What the Babylon boys have integrated into their being so that when they say that, whether out loud or as part of a focusing tool, just before they let loose a kung fu kick of a purely nonsensical spoken line, which hits their audience in the gut so they know they've been hit because it bowls them right over in their chair. And they know they've just heard the most important thing they have ever heard come out of their screen. It doesn't matter what the words are. It doesn't matter. At that moment, it was powered forward with the power of we are the broadcasters. So just listen to what we have to say. Don't you be listening to anything else. Don't be thinking about anything else. Why did they turn on that satire of nightly news or the Good Morning United States of America interview show or whatever? At that moment, you must let them know that you are the broadcaster. They are on your verbal hook. It is like when the eagle takes off from the top of the pine tree and dives down toward that river flowing beneath him, and he is saying to the fish that he can't actually see, but which as that is at that very moment swimming up to the surface to reach out of the water and take that fly that is about to land on the flowing water, except that it at that moment is the eagle's moment, as he is saying, I am the eagle. And at that moment, the fly lands on the surface of the river. At that very moment, that the fish is about to take that fly into its mouth. At that very moment, the eagle's claws come down like the landing gear of a jet. And the fish is now in the claws as the eagle rises straight into the sky with the fish in its claws, and the eagle's wings come out until they are 4 feet long on either side. And the eagle has said, I am the broadcaster, so just listen to what I have to say. That is how you have to say it, ladies and gentlemen. It is your moment. It is your destiny. And the fish and the news anchor's audience know it. And they give themselves freely. Class is dismissed.